Should you train to failure? Whether you should or shouldn't is highly nuanced, but it's important we understand what training to failure really is and how to incorporate it into our training. There are two types of failure. Technical failure. Training to a 10 RPE or 0 RIR where no more concentric reps can be achieved for the target muscle as long as technique stays consistent. Momentary muscular failure. The act of failing a rep, often where people describe using things like partials or forced reps to go beyond failure, which isn't a real thing, but it's outside of the scope of this video. Knowing this, we should use failure strategically, not blindly. While its true sets taken a failure can be more stimulative on a single set basis, they can greatly impact recoverability when it comes to doing multiple sessions per week. Lastly, we only want to go to failure on exercises that are more braced with less risk of injury. This is usually more machine-type movements and isolation exercises. We want to avoid going to failure on compound multi-joint skill-based movements as the risk of injury is far greater, as well as the increased cardiometabolic demands. All of which can skew our perception of effort, meaning exercises might feel harder because you're out of breath, but the target muscle still might be a few reps shy of failure. Think about how hard it is to actually hit a set of squats to failure compared to doing leg extensions. It's likely that your lungs and lower back will give out before your quads do. If your training volume and frequency are low, training to failure more often is fine, and probably advised provided you choose exercises appropriately and are still prioritizing progressive overload. If not, then you'll need to limit exposure to failure with only brief periods being used on specific exercises. Lastly, there seems to be greater benefit training closer to failure on lighter, higher rep sets compared to heavier, lower rep sets.